Alright, what's going on everybody? It's me, Tony Nico. Welcome back to another video. How's everybody's day going? I know that it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, but I'm back with some more content for you guys, and one of the first few videos that I wanted to deliver to you guys now that I am back making content was a list of my top 10 favorite games that I played in 2022 of last year. So the way I'm going to do this list now is I'm going to be, of course, ordering these games down from 10 to 1, and the top 3 are obviously going to be my 3 favorite games of this year. But it was very hard for me to make this list at first. I was thinking inside of my mind, there's a lot of games that I played last year in 2022, but there's also some games that I didn't finish. There was some new games and some old games that I played last year, and I was debating whether I should put some of these games on this list since I haven't even completed them yet. But I've spent a lot of time in these games, so I haven't beaten them yet, but there are some games on this list that I have put many hours into, and yet I have not completed them. But I was debating whether I should put them on this list or not, and I just decided to go ahead with them because, hey, what the heck, I spent a lot of time in them, and I really enjoyed these games a lot for me to list them as some of my favorite from 2022. Now, there's also going to be older games on this list as well that I just now started playing and then beaten in 2022 as well. So, yeah, here we go with this list. Counting down from number 10. Alright, so we're starting off the list with Ninja Gaiden at number 10. Okay, so, fun story. I never once played the original Ninja Gaiden games at all. My first Ninja Gaiden game I played was Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, and I played the demo on PS3. This is my first time ever playing a Ninja Gaiden game, except for the NES one, which I still have never beat the final boss on. When I made that community post, I talked about it before. But that was a few years back when I played the original game on an NES emulator. So this is my first time playing one of the reboot or remake games of the Ninja Gaiden ones by Team Ninja. And I gotta say, man, this game is absolutely difficult as hell. The bosses were phenomenal. I love the story and especially the combat. I can see why Ninja Gaiden was such a big deal back then on the original Xbox, because, man, if I played this game back at the time when I had my regular Xbox as a kid, I would definitely put this as one of my greatest games of all time and easily one of the best hack and slashes ever. After playing the first Ninja Gaiden game on the Master Collection on PC through Game Pass, I gotta say, this was one hell of a ride right here with this game right here. Absolutely phenomenal. The bosses, the combat, the enemies, the level design, the variety, all of it. It's all there. Not only is this game brutally punishing, even on just normal difficulty, yeah, this game is very challenging, but it's also very amazing too. And it's gonna test your patience a lot. And I'm somebody who's played through most of the Souls games, and I can tell you right here that this was a challenge even for me, man. But yeah, kicking off the list with number 10 right here, Ninja Gaiden. First time playing it was in 2022, and it was an absolutely worthwhile time right here. So yeah, this is a great game. Alright, so at number 9 on my list we got Wrath, Aeon of Ruin, which is an old school boomer shooter type of game in the style of Duke Nukem 3D mixed with Quake in Doom 1 and 2. So this right here is for all the fans of boomer shooters and just FPS games in general. You know, fast-paced movement, arena type shooters like Quake and Doom and all that, or Blood, or freaking Duke Nukem 3D. This game right here is an absolutely brilliant time. Now, it's not exactly a masterpiece, but it's close to flawless as you can get with all these retro throwback boomer shooter type of games. So in this game, you are Outlander. Once adrift upon the ageless sea, you now find yourself on the shores of a dying world. From the consuming darkness emerges a figure cloaked in white, the shepherd of wayward souls, who burdens you with the task of hunting down the remaining guardians of the old one. You must journey into the vast gloom to explore ancient ruins, discover forgotten secrets, and battle the horrors that lurk within. Now, that all sounds kick-ass and everything, and trust me, that's exactly what you're going to do in this game right here, because it's a great time. You're going to be kicking a lot of ass, shooting a lot of alien monsters and stuff. I gotta tell you, this game is a blast right here, along with another game on this list that we'll soon get to talking about. But yeah, this is a great time right here. Easily one of my favorite games of 2022, and honestly, one of my favorite retro boomer shooters in a long time. Oh yeah, and it's only $25. It can probably run on your grandmother's pacemaker as well. It requires absolutely nothing at all to run. So yeah, you know, if you're one of the fans of like boomer shooters and like old school arena type shooters and stuff like Duke Nukem like I am, because I actually am a pretty big fan of those type of games, like Shadow Warrior as well, which is my favorite of them besides Blood. So I would say pick this game up. Alright, next up on the list at number 8 is Grim Dawn, which if you're a fan of ARPGs and just dungeon crawlers like Diablo and Baldur's Gate, immediately I can already give this game a definite recommend. This is easily one of the greatest ARPGs that I've ever played before. Honestly, this has to be the best action RPG since like Diablo 2, which is already just a phenomenal dungeon crawler, which to this day just holds up extremely well. Like, man, it's insane just how good Grim Dawn is, honestly. From the skills, the weapon variety, the builds, you know, your loadouts, the armor, the gear, the bosses, the story. Man, Grim Dawn pretty much has it all. This is easily one of the greatest dungeon crawlers ever. And it doesn't even cost a lot either. This is made by the same people who also made Titan Quest, which is another great action RPG dungeon crawler, just like Diablo 2 and 3. And if you haven't played Titan Quest, I recommend that game to you as well. But Grim Dawn just completely mops floors with pretty much any action RPG at the moment right now, to me at least. This game right here is absolutely phenomenal. I recommend this game to anyone who is a huge fan of just dungeon crawlers and action RPGs in general, just like Diablo. This is easily one of my favorite games of 2022, and honestly, I would put this up there as one of my favorite games of all time now as well. It is just that good. So, moving on to number 7. Alright, kicking off with number 7 is one of the best FPS games I've played since Doom Eternal. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't mean that lightly at all. This is easily one of the best FPS games and one of the best retro throwback boomer shooter games that I've played in a very long time, even when comparing it to Wrath of Aeon. This is one of the best FPS games that I've played since Doom Eternal, and honestly, in some ways, I enjoy this just a little bit more than Doom Eternal, although I still think that Eternal has the more superior combat system. But man, the game that I'm talking about is Prodeus. Holy shit is all I have to say about this game. Virtually everything about this game is pretty much flawless as it stands for an FPS retro throwback shooter, except one thing: the checkpoint system. Now, the checkpoint system in concept, you know, or in theory, is not exactly all that bad, but in practice, it's pretty terrible since it eliminates all sense of urgency and threat, because you can just abuse the checkpoint system. The way it works in Prodeus is when you die, you can respawn at a nexus point, and all the enemies that you killed on the map will be completely gone. So it eliminates the sense of urgency, so whatever enemies that you have not killed yet are still there once you respawn, and it just makes the game a hell of a lot easier. And if you've already killed all the enemies but you've died, it creates pretty much a ghost effect on the map, to where you're just walking around aimlessly until you get to the end of the level, pretty much on a completely barren map with no enemies left. So yeah, it pretty much just eliminates the sense of urgency in that point right there, where you can just abuse the checkpoint system, respawn with full health, and not full ammo though, just full health and stuff. And yeah, otherwise that though, Prodeus is pretty much a flawless FPS game. The level design is just like the old school like Duke Nukem games and stuff, and it's also like old school Doom as well. The shooting, the weapons, the enemies, all of it is pretty much there. It's all just pretty much phenomenal. The graphics, while, you know, retro-like and pretty aesthetically pleasing, they're not exactly all that demanding, but it's pretty good. Like, god damn, everything about this game is pretty much just flawless. The shooting, the combat, the enemies, the level design, the weapons, and the variety. Jesus, man. And it's only $25 too. This game is definitely one of my favorite games of this year, and is also my favorite FPS game that I played this year. It's so much better than Wrath of Aeon in every single way. And that's not a knock to Wrath of Aeon, of course, because they're both brilliant FPS games, but god damn. This just absolutely blows it out the water. This is my favorite FPS game of this year, and one of my favorite FPS games that I've played since Doom Eternal. Easily top shooter. I would definitely recommend you play this game. Alright, coming in at number 6, we got Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Oh boy, I've beaten the first 3 Crash Bandicoot games numerous times in my childhood, and I gotta say, man, Crash Bandicoot 4, after so many years of finally getting another proper Crash game, I can say that this one is possibly my favorite Crash game, right beside Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, easily. Oh man, this right here, Toys for Bob delivered on every single promise of giving us a proper sequel to the original 3 games, and man, it is an absolute masterpiece. If you're not trying to 100% complete it, that is, which is something I will never do. That's a whole different story, but yeah, this game is an absolute brilliant masterpiece right here. There's virtually nothing wrong with this game at all. At all. Now, fun fact is, I actually beat this game on stream, and I mostly played it on stream as well, instead of using it as background footage, and it is brutally difficult. This is easily the hardest Crash game besides Crash 2. Oh man, the final level alone took me hours to beat. I was stuck in a single spot just trying to beat the final level so much that I got tired and nearly fell asleep on stream trying to beat this game, until I finally did. And man, it was well worth it. But yeah, Crash Bandicoot 4, there's just nothing else I really need to say about this game. It's pretty much just perfectly flawless, an absolutely beautiful sequel to the original 3 trilogy of games after getting so many mediocre to average Crash games. Yeah, I gotta say, Toys for Bob, I would not mind if they did a Crash 5 and they did something like this again. I completely trust them with the Crash franchise now. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time is absolutely wonderful for fans and newcomers of the Crash Bandicoot games. We finally got a proper sequel after all these years to the original 3 games. And Toys for Bob, they did it, man. They absolutely did it. Alright, so at number 5 on the list is a game that I don't have much gameplay footage of, due to the fact that I didn't really use that much of it as background footage, and the fact that I really didn't have enough space to reinstall it and capture some more footage for this video right here. But the game is called Scarlet Nexus. Now, this game right here is a hack and slash JRPG game right here, an anime style game. And I gotta say that this is actually another really good game right here that I enjoyed in 2022. Now, the reason why it's so high up on the list is simply because of its story. While the combat is pretty good, it's mostly just pretty simple and basic, and it doesn't have too much going for it. But once you get into the rhythm of things, it is actually pretty good. But the reason why this game is so high up on this list is because of its story and character and world building. And I'm excited for a sequel to come from this game. Now, if you're a huge fan of JRPGs and just anime style games in general, and especially games like the Tales series, you know, this was developed by Bandai Namco themselves after all. So if you're like a huge fan of the Tales series, I would recommend this game for you right here. Now, the thing with this game is, I'm not going to spoil too much about it, is that this game has 2 protagonists in it, where you play as one of them and they branch into each other's storylines, and they also just merge at some points of the story as well right here. So one of the protagonists in this game, his name is Yuito Sumeraki, and then the other one who I played as is Kasane Randall. And you fight these creatures in this game called Others, which are pretty much like monsters that they just like kill you and then they eat your brain and everything. It's some really, you know, weird concept and all that. It's pretty interesting and unique too as well, and the powers and stuff that you utilize in this game, different elements, your characters and all that you have, your party members that you have, which you can have up to about 3 different party members with you. is all pretty, you know, fleshed out. They're pretty unique and they're pretty cool. The reason why this game stands out so much to me, though, is because it came completely out of nowhere when I found it. And the story and characters is what got me enthralled into it. And that's the reason why it's so high up on the list. Now, I don't have much gameplay footage of this game, though. This is all you're going to be able to see right here. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus is actually a really good and for the most part a pretty brilliant game. It's not flawless or anything like that, you know, it has a few bit of issues and the combat doesn't have too much going for it, but it's pretty simple and it's pretty fun at times. So yeah, if you're a huge fan of like JRPGs and just, you know, the Tales games or just anime games in general, I would definitely give this one a recommend. Alright, coming in at number 4, we got what might be going down as one of the greatest Metroidvanias that I've ever played in my life. And I mean at this point in time, ever. Deedlit in Wonderland, aka Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth. This game right here, oh boy, where do I even start? I've played this game so much in my background footage because it is just that fucking good. This is honestly Team Ladybug's magnum opus. I already thought Touhou Luna Nights was an absolute masterpiece of a Metroidvania, but man, this, for the most part, just completely just cranked things up to 11. If Touhou Luna Nights was like a 10 when it comes to a Metroidvania game with the, you know, the whole time stop ability, the whole knife mechanic and all that, the absolutely phenomenal boss fights and the raise mechanic, then Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit in Wonderland is just, it's something else. It's truly their greatest game so far. And they've only made, what, I think 2 games? But man, this is just it for them right here. I don't know how they're going to be able to top this because Deedlit in Wonderland is just brilliant. It is an absolutely brilliant joyride of a Metroidvania so far. I haven't even finished it yet. I've spent many hours into this game and I'm still not done with it yet. Because not only is this game absolutely phenomenal, but man, it is brutally hard too. It's very challenging. I've died a lot, like over and over and over and over again, but this game is pretty much just what freaking Castlevania is. It's just Castlevania Symphony of the Night 2.0. And that's one of my all-time favorite games ever right there, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I mean, even down to some of the animations and stuff, the homages to Alucard from Symphony of the Night, the way Deedlit herself is even dressed in her robe and everything, is just a straight homage to Alucard. It's insane to me. Yeah, this is an absolute brilliant Metroidvania right here. I would have no problem recommending this game to you. And it's on sale right now for $15 and full price is only $20. Definitely pick this up. If you're a huge fan of Metroidvanias and just video games in general, this is an absolute masterpiece. I'm tempted to just get back to finishing this game up once I'm through with this video right here because it is just that darn good. Team Ladybug absolutely knocked it out of the park once again. They absolutely delivered on this game after giving us a brilliant Metroidvania in the form of Touhou Luna Nights, which is a game that I've beaten many times over and played as background footage on my channel as well. Alright, third game on the list, Enderlilies Quietus of the Nights. Now, this game right here is an absolute masterpiece in all regards. Okay, this right here is an absolute masterpiece of a game, a masterpiece of a Metroidvania. So, this is a dark fantasy game where you play as Lily, the last surviving priestess in a land devastated by an endless and oppressive rain that drives living things demented and transforms them into undead while granting immortality. So, what you're doing in this game is you're traveling to the Land's End, which is what the kingdom is called, and all of the inhabitants have been turned into the Blighted. The protagonist, Lily, the last surviving descendant of the White Priestesses, has the ability to cleanse spirits of corruption. So Lily is pretty much accompanied by the souls of spirits along the way, including one knight who has sworn allegiance to other White Priestesses before Lily, as she is the last surviving descendant of them. And your job is pretty much to cleanse this entire land of the Blighted. So the way the combat in this game works is like Well, for anyone who's watched JoJo, and I've had a bunch of people comment this under my gameplay videos of me, well, not gameplay videos, under my commentary videos of me playing this game a lot, they would say that the way the combat looks is like how the stands work in JoJo. Now, I've never watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure before. I do plan to watch it sooner or later. But after doing a little bit of research on all of that type of stuff, I can confirm that this is pretty much exactly what it's like. It's like having multiple stands for your character, Lily, here. And that's basically what the combat is like. You control multiple spirits. You can have up to 3 spirits at once. And they're all pretty powerful. They're pretty useful. Some of them provide different like power-ups to help you like navigate throughout the map. Typical Metroidvania stuff, like later on you get the ability to climb walls, double jump, and all that, you know. But yeah, this game is absolutely phenomenal. It's gorgeous. The boss fights, the enemies are all pretty varied. They're pretty difficult too. This game is very, very difficult, even by a Metroidvania standard. Okay, and I've played a lot. Okay, I've played Metroid Prime, I've played Castlevania. Okay, I've played what? Dandara. I've played freaking Hollow Knight. This game is pretty darn difficult. And it also has some of the most gorgeous backdrops and art style that I've seen in any video game to date. At least a 2D video game. The art style in this game is absolutely phenomenal. The music is just, it's beautiful. It's so good. I would love to play some of it for you, but, you know, copyright issues and all that. But yeah, this game right here is an absolute blast to play. I would definitely recommend this one right here, and it's easily one of my favorite Metroidvanias of all time now. $25 on Steam, you know, it's also available on the Switch and stuff too. But yeah, Enderlilies, Quietus of the Nights, it's definitely a phenomenal time. And easily one of my top Metroidvanias of all time now. Moving on to number 2. Bayonetta 3. Man, everybody already know about Bayonetta already, and if you don't know about Bayonetta, well, you better start playing them games right now. Bayonetta 3, though, I still don't understand the darn hate and all the darn disputes and disapproval, all the commotion going on regarding its ending, and some stuff with the freaking level design and gameplay. I honestly just didn't understand it. Especially considering the fact that the whole plot revolved around time traveling through different, you know, places and stuff and different time periods and meeting different Bayonettas, when we already played as 2 different Bayonettas in the previous games. The first Bayonetta is the original one, and then in Bayonetta 2 we played as a different Bayonetta in that one, in an alternate universe. Well, not exactly an alternate universe, but a different one. So I don't understand all this darn, you know, disapproval and all this negative commotion going on with Bayonetta 3 when we were told that we were pretty much playing as a different Bayonetta when we already did that in the second game. But, you know, I digress. Bayonetta 3, man, is absolutely phenomenal and easily the best action game that I played this year. And I'd even say that it would that it's probably one of my all-time favorite action games now as well. The combat in this game is absolutely much better than the previous 2 games, especially Bayonetta 2's, which was pretty good, but was just a faster pace to Bayonetta 1 with more bosses and enemies. It didn't really have more meat to it, it just felt like more fine-tuned than Bayonetta 1's combat, but Bayonetta 3's is completely different. First of all, in Bayonetta 3, you now have actual upgrade paths for different weapons. They all have different varying move sets and different demons, different type of abilities, all that's really unique to them compared to how they were in Bayonetta 1 and 2. Also, they completely removed the, what was it? Pretty much in Bayonetta 2, you had like a meter that was similar to how you would have a double trigger in the DMC games. They completely got rid of that, and instead you now have your Demon Slave mechanic, which allows you to control up to like 3 or 4 different demons that you can just utilize on the fly. They all have different abilities and stuff like Madama Butterfly, Phantasmarane, and many others. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you haven't played Bayonetta 3 yet, absolutely recommend this game to you. Also, Bayonetta 3 is just, it's such a blast. The level design, most of the boss fights in this game were really good, especially the final boss fight, which obviously I'm not going to spoil either, you know, but the combat, now the story is where the things are, you know, a little bit hit or miss. but I still don't think it's nowhere near as bad as people were making it out to be. I still couldn't understand the discourse going on around that. Now, in the Bayonetta games, the story was never really the center point. I gotta say, Bayonetta 1 had the best story, but even then, it was really just campy fun most of the time, that only occasionally took itself pretty serious. But for the most part, it's just like with the DMC games. It doesn't matter all too much. It's mainly the combat, boss fight, you know, the level design, and the various things you could pull off. The various stunts and tricks you could do is really what draw people in. But yeah, Bayonetta 3 is absolutely great time, and I have no issue putting this as number 2 on my spot. But it's time to move on to number 1. You know, you guys already know what number 1 is most likely going to be, and if you don't, well, you're about to find out right now. But it's easily my most played game this year. Well, at least from this year exactly. I've spent over, what, nearly 150 hours in this darn game. You already know what it is, so let's get on to number 1 already. And number 1, Elden Ring, of course. Pretty much everybody's game of this year for those who have pretty much played it. For the most part, at least. Some people have other games of the years, but yeah. The undisputed, pretty much deserving game of the year for me right here, Elden Ring. Oh man, Elden Ring. This game is just, it has everything. Bosses, weapon design, variety, enemy design, enemy variety, art style, graphics, story, difficulty, fun factor. It has it all. Everything. I've spent nearly 150 hours into this fucking game, and it was absolutely worth it. Even if 30% of that was just me trying to fight Millennia. Oh man, yes, I still remember spending nearly 30 fucking hours on Millennia trying to beat her because she was just absolutely brutally difficult. I wish I had some gameplay to show you guys of me struggling with her, but I didn't record any of it. But yeah, stayed up from sun up to sundown fighting one of the greatest boss fights that I've ever had the pleasure of beating in a game, and I don't mean that lightly. Elden Ring is absolutely deserving of the number 1 spot. The level design is pretty good. You know, it's not without flaws, okay? This isn't without flaws, but I do think as a package, as a whole thing, this is an absolutely phenomenal game, and FromSoft deserves all the credit for making this. They deserve all the credit for the love and attention, the detail, the world design, the bosses, the enemies, the combat, the weapon variety, the armor, all of that. They deserve all the credit for all of this. You know, for the most part at least, because fuck Godskin Duo. Okay, they can go suck a fat one. Alright. And some of the dragons in this game were underwhelming. But yeah, Elden Ring, man, is just it's really something else. It's really a milestone right here for FromSoft. They've come very far from Demon Souls. Hell, not even that, from Kingsfield, if anybody remembers those games from the PS1 era. They've come so far. From Armored Core, from Dark Souls, from Bloodborne, Sekiro, now to this. And I'm excited for whatever they do next, whatever their next game is going to be. I think that this is their best game since Bloodborne, to be honest. Disregarding Sekiro, because it's not exactly a Souls game, but like as a Souls game, you know, like with Elden Ring, I think this is their best one since Bloodborne. I mean, and even Bloodborne isn't exactly a Souls game, but you get what I'm saying. It plays more like a Souls game than Sekiro does, which is why I'm excluding Sekiro. But yeah, this game right here is an absolute beautifully, masterfully crafted game right here. It deserved all the praise. I didn't even believe it at first until I finally got my hand on this game, of just understanding how good and also how frustrating this game really is. Like, it's difficult, but it makes you want to come back to it more. And once you finally beat that boss or that enemy that kept knocking you down over 500 times and making you sit in the chair for 32 hours because you still didn't learn the same exact pattern, or because the game wanted to make them pull out a cheap bullshit attack and then just have you get killed right in that moment, and then you get stuck on a wall or something, or you misuse a spell at the wrong time, or you went in for the wrong moment to hit an enemy. And okay, yeah, I think I'm losing my mind here. Flashbacks to millennia. But you get what I'm saying. This game right here is just, it was worth it, okay? It's worth all of it. If you're not a fan of Souls games, I'm pretty sure this one right here will convince you. Not only that, it's the most accessible. It's probably the easiest, while at the same time being the most difficult when it comes to some bosses and enemies. I mean, there's like these statues that resurrect you right next to wherever the boss room is in case you die for certain bosses. And not only that, the game is just showered with a lot of sites of grace, which is just like the bonfires from the Souls games and stuff, or the lampposts from like Bloodborne. But yeah, absolutely deserving of the #1 spot. Easily my most favorite game of this year, and easily my most played game of this year as well. It's so worth it. Elden Ring is an absolutely beautifully crafted game. And that's it. That's my list of top 22 games that I played of last year. I mean, I played a lot of games, okay? I play a lot of games. Not even that I played a lot last year, but I play a lot of games just in general. And man, I was still absolutely surprised by all the stuff that came out this year. Just how good 2022 overall as a package was for gaming. And 2023 is already shaping up to be an absolutely phenomenal time. I mean, look at the Dead Space remakes, the Silent Hill 2 remake, RE4 remake, we got Starfield, we got freaking Redfall, we got not Dying Light 2, sorry about that, Dead Island 2, which just somehow came out of the blue, out of nowhere, coming out this February. It's honestly insane to me. And it's crazy too, because just like in 2020 and 2021, I was thinking, you know, these were not some very good games that came out this year. You know, like I played some games in 2021 and 2020, and I was just not excited anymore for whatever was coming out next. But now I am. You know, I can definitely say that I'm excited for a lot of games again. But I think I would leave a rant like that for another day, because it's really something. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this list, you know, if you guys agree with this list, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys want to tell me what your top favorite games of 2022 was, tell me down below in the comment section. Sorry it took so long for me to get on this video. You know, it took me forever to hop on this train right here of making my top list of 2022. But I just had to get a lot of stuff out the way. Also, some problems with like connection and everything. And due to the fact that I wanted to take a little bit of a break from making content and just focus on me and my life for a bit. But yeah, this is me, Mitsuni Nika. I will see you guys in the next video. Hope you all have a blessed day, and I'm out.